Welcome to Season 2 of The Biz Show, sponsored by InvestQuire. And now, your hosts, Barry and Lisa.
Good morning, Barry. How are you? Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Morning. Good morning.
Oh, no. Now you're singing. I sang last time. You sing this time.
I think I'm just so happy that the week is coming to an end, and it was just such a great week.
Been a busy week, man. I've been with my head and my nose to the grindstone, just drilling away on some tasks that need to get done. But let's talk about
Yay.
today's podcast, right? So this is episode 8 of the end of season 2, and we're still in the Business 101 series. And today we're going to talk about salary negotiations, and those are from the employer perspective.
Yeah, so we are talking about how to start a business through this series and all the elements that go into it. So when you're hiring somebody, you're going to be faced with some salary negotiations. So we're going to hopefully provide you some tips on how to do a successful negotiation.
Here's the thing. First, let me preface this, right? This is from the employer's perspective. And, I'm not sure of our demographics of who's listening to this, whether they're businesses or employees or whatever. If
Everyone is
you're,
listening.
well, of course, but if you guys would like us to, we could also do another podcast based on this from the employee's perspective. However, there
Yeah,
are a
we
lot
may
there are a lot of things out there already.
we may touch on that a little bit in our conversations today, though. But yeah, that could be another great podcast, Barry. That's a good idea.
Yeah, it could be. So, anyways, salary negotiations. Here's the deal. A lot of people are afraid of salary negotiations, right? Because they see it as a conflict or a task that's not necessarily in their wheelhouse, right? Of negotiations and stuff like that. You and I have negotiation skills, and I'm up for the challenge of a negotiation and a debate, whatever you want to call it, right? I know
I
you are
think that
too.
from an employer's perspective, I think also having to pay a salary is a little bit fearful because then they're going to, be decreasing their overall profit. And so to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm committing to this and having to, have another expense for the company, and then I might have to pay more just to get a talent is all part of the fear that you just mentioned, which is very
It's
real.
funny. It's funny that you say that, right? Because coming from the corporate side of the house, I don't see that. Because when we put a business plan together and we put a budget and the financials together, we already have a salary cropped into that.
Allocated.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so we already have our margins set for what the company is going to make. This is going to be the margin. And then the salaries are, yes, they're part of it, but they're separate. And so I'm not worried about those. I have a pool of money that goes towards employees.
Right. In analyzing a recent business, we saw the salary piece really kind of being a thorn in its side because it had a decreasing profitability over the year. And so then they had to cut jobs because of it. And usually
Yes.
that big savings is when you cut out the salary piece. But yeah, if you're going into going into a year where you're really successful, then you're adding employees, then you definitely your salary is part of that business analysis and the allocation of your expenses is
It's
not an
that
issue.
that is a pet peeve of mine actually, because I've been doing this for a very long time and I've helped a lot of businesses, and I'm always frustrated when the first thing that they want to cut is salaries. And
Yeah,
why don't because that's not the problem.
right.
You're not
Exactly.
addressing the problem. You're addressing a band-aid to put over the problem, but you got a bullet hole, right? So that band-aid's not going to help you. It's going to get worse and worse and worse. Let's
Because then
find the problem,
yep.
whether it's cash flow, whether it's sales aren't coming in, sales are declining. Okay, well, if sales are declining, Why are they declining? Is it an economy issue? Is it a quality issue? Maybe you're not providing the best services or product you can. Those are the things that you need to focus on first before you start whacking your employees. Because when you whack your employees, now you have one less employee, two less employees, three less employees to help you get the job done.
Your services go out the window. Exactly.
Yes, yes. Well,
That's
let's
where
dive into
we
this.
really need to market to, is getting people out of the hole, Barry. We should do a service around that, like distressed properties, call us in, to get you guys back on track, right? I
Yeah,
think that would
yeah.
be something that we could speak about and also promote in our website to help
What?
businesses. It's just so sad to see businesses thriving and then all of a sudden maybe something happened in their personal life to where they can't maintain their business anymore, and now all of a sudden they have to close the doors. So I don't like to see that happen. I'd love people to sell their business on a high note. So I would love to be able to offer that service, to get people
You know
back
that
on.
that is one of my fortes, right? I've been brought into a lot of companies as a turnaround
Yeah,
guy. So
the
help them
turnaround
get it
guy. I
turned
like
around.
it. Yes.
All right. So, anyways, salary negotiations. Let's talk about this. The first
Yep.
thing you need to know as an employer is, well, what is the purpose of it, right? The purpose, that's self-explanatory, right? It's nobody's going to work for free. You need to pay them something. So you got to negotiate what that's going to be.
And what's that slogan? You get what you pay for?
Oh yes, definitely so. So anyways, so here's the thing. The first thing you need to do as an employer, you need to know what to charge, or not, I'm sorry, not what to charge, what to pay, right?
Hmm?
So how much is this position worth, right? And you know,
So where
where
would
do you
somebody do
find,
research like that?
well, I go to salary.com. It's a
Hmm.
great website. You can go in and you can find the job description of what you're looking for. And then there's a salary range, a high or a low, a medium, and a high range. And then you can adjust it with the person's, educational background, whether they have a master's degree, a bachelor's degree, no degree, what their skill
Also,
levels are, so you can really adjust the scale on what that might be. It's a great website. I suggest everybody use salary.com. I've been using it for 20 years.
nice. Good tip, Barry. And maybe ask your competition too.
Well,
See-
so the next thing I suggest is go to LinkedIn, go to Indeed, go to ZipRecruiter, and look at the job functions or job descriptions that are out there for this type position, and then line them all up. Right? Don't rely on one. Use a holistic approach. Use salary.com, but also take a look at LinkedIn. And if you are in the state of California, it's now the law that they have to post the salary or at least the salary range for that position.
That's right.
So
Yeah. So
you've got a lot.
knowing your
Yeah.
industry standards will help you have a really good salary posting of what your job duties are, and then you'll be able to attract the talent that will, really be interested in the job position.
Yeah, and as I said, you should know the entry level positions, the mid level positions, the senior positions, and even the manager positions for that position, right? Because you never know who you're going to get. You might be asking for an entry level position for a sales guy, and but yeah, here comes a senior guy along who can get you up to speed and get sales coming in immediately. Are you going to overlook that guy because that's not the position you're hiring for? Probably not.
Right. You might
But
switch
he's
gears at
going
that
to,
point.
yeah, but they're probably going to want more money than what the entry list position is going to pay for. So you need to be prepared for that.
Right. Yeah. And be prepared for the salary increases too, because somebody might move along really rapidly in their skill level and surprise you. So then you'll be having to give raises. So yeah, speaking to that's definitely something to keep on in the top of your mind. When you're hiring somebody, you want them to advance.
Yes, definitely so. So the next thing is, and I've heard this many times. Well, I can't find the talent I'm looking for.
Hmm.
Okay, well, you're looking in the wrong places. And here's the
Yeah.
problem. You can throw your job description out and pay money for it at LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, stuff like that. That's fine. Um, but here's the thing: if you're not getting the candidates coming in like you want, you probably need to expand
Maybe the
your
salary set too
geographical
low.
location. The
Yeah.
salary could be set too low, number one. Number two, the geographical location. For instance, let's just take this. You're a tech company and you're looking for a programmer. Where are the best programmers in the world? Where are you going to find them?
Silicon Valley.
Exactly. Even though you might be in Texas, right?
But people are willing to relocate for their jobs because they're really looking for their future, right? So people
Exactly.
all the time.
Now, here's a quick analysis. I've done this several times and it's worked well. How, if you're looking for top talent, and back to programmers, right? You're looking for top talent, where they're going to be. They're going to be at Google. They're going to be at Apple. They're going to be at Microsoft. They're going to be at Facebook.
Yes.
How can you lure them away from those big tech companies to your small little 10-man shop? Right? There is
Money.
a technique. Well, money is one
Money
of them,
talks.
yes.
Yeah.
But can you compete with Microsoft? Probably not.
Right.
So really, my suggestion is take a look at your company direction and how you impact the world. Those are things that today are more important to employees than actual money and salary, right? So if you, for instance, are looking to make an electric car or bring green type of energy, things like that, things that have a mission that help the overall good of the world, those are going to be important to employees just as much as salary is.
Yeah, that'll come into play for sure, seeing how that would benefit and reward, the community or even yourself. Feeling good about what you did at your job at the end of the day really speaks volumes. But
It
also the
does.
benefit package, I think like perks that go along with the job is really what people are looking for. It's kind of like, what do I get when I take this job? What is the benefit to me to work amongst, these people in this corporation? And so they're really looking at the overall, all the different elements, the benefits package, their job position. Some people even look at where the office is located and the office space itself. Are they going to feel good going into the doors every day, walking into work? So yeah, all of those things come into play, and some people make decisions based on factors that you may not even realize as an employer.
This is true. Everybody's got their own motivations, right? So don't discount that. Is definitely something to work out. With World Intermed, that was one of our big perks that we had is, we're here looking to change the healthcare business when it comes
Yeah.
to administration, medical records, and stuff like that. And so we were able to get top talent to help on the programming side and stuff like that.
That was
Um,
very enticing. Yeah.
yeah, we actually had several employees from Microsoft and two from Google.
Hmm.
So, and they left those companies to come work for us.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
So,
always a
anyways,
good feeling.
it
Yeah.
is. So no, the next thing is know the salary range, right? We already discussed knowing what the salaries are, but you need to set a price for that position. What's the range? Again, a high and a low. And know this, when you're negotiating a salary, right? From an employee's perspective, they always want to come in at the low end because they know the employee is going to try to come in the high end.
And there's always a meet in the middle.
There
So
is.
yeah, I think a lot of employers do ask the person they're interviewing, what do you expect? Salary that you're expecting at this job. And then the employer usually says, oh, well, this is, we don't really offer that at this juncture. And then there's always room for negotiation, right? So be prepared for having to negotiate maybe a couple of rounds with your
I
employer.
have exactly. I have a document. It's based off of salary.com. And when I start salary negotiations, I actually take this document, I email it to the candidate and say, look, I'm fair. And so we're going to try to strategize what's the best pay for you. Here's what salary.com says the ranges are. Okay. Now, and then I ask you these questions, or I may already know them, right? What's your educational background? Boom, 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 boom. There's a whole bunch of questions I ask them. I have them fill that out. And then we go back to salary.com and we plug that in. And then, so I use it so I can kind of mitigate the whole back and forth.
And I think it takes you out of it because then you're using a resource that's available to everyone online, and they're seeing that it's not just coming from you and you're the being a cheapskate, not willing to pay what people are worth, but it's actually what is the standard of the industry. So then the argument becomes a little bit less, um, difficult, because then they're just seeing it on in black and white paper, right?
Right. Use the tools available to you. Salary.com. And look, I'm not endorsing salary.com at all. We don't have they're not don't sponsor us, they're not paying us. But as I said, I've used it for 20 years and it has worked time and time and time and time again for me.
Right.
And
Did
it takes
anybody
me
ever, did you have a story of anyone ever bringing in a different resource that showed different ranges?
there has been a couple times where the expectation was, oh, well, I'm looking at Glassdoor. And
Yeah.
Glassdoor's great. And they are closely related and the same. But then they've also brought in job postings from Indeed where, this is a unicorn job at whatever. And
Yeah.
so, oh, we're paying, $500,000 for a position and I'm paying, 125. So it's like, well, okay, find me, and here's what I do: go back and find a bunch of others that match that, and they never
Yeah,
have,
exactly.
because
Oh, there you go.
it's a unicorn,
Right.
right? But doing this strategy for me has really narrowed down the salary negotiations literally to a day.
Nice.
So I have in the past sometimes it's taken 2 weeks to narrow in the salaries with all the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other thing to do is understand your benefits package because that has value to it as well, right? And so if you're providing healthcare and dental and insurance and maybe a vision plan and maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks of vacation and some time off for whatever various needs, those things all have a dollar value attached to them,
Right.
right? So that needs to be built into your compensation package that you're offering to the candidate. And that also would be, say, for instance, you're going to pay $150,000 a year total to the employee. Well, and then your compensation package is $25,000 for the year. So now you're paying actually 125,000 plus that is 150,000 for overall package. Or perhaps you're going to pay the 150 and that on top of it. So really your full compensation is 175. That's for you to determine, but it is something to take a look at and figure out what's the best thing to do.
Exactly. And some people are willing to concede to a little bit lower salary because they just love, all the other aspects of the job and what it offers. So I think that, yeah, taking a look at all of the different elements is important for the employee to consider and also for the employer to offer.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. At my last company, I offered also education, right? There's a lot of online educational companies out there. We are able to provide some benefits package too. So free education, you could actually get a bachelor's degree out of some of these, and
Yeah, that's
some of
amazing.
them are really good. And also counseling, right? So especially with the newer generation, a lot of them might need counseling.
Hmm.
And so we also offered, 6 sessions a year, uh, paid for by the company for them
For
to meet with
coaching
counsel. Yeah,
too,
coaching,
coaching and
mentoring.
mentorship. Hmm.
Yeah,
People always want to, excel. So whatever you can offer is just really another, icing on the cake, if you will.
right. So now you're ready to start your negotiations, right? After you've gotten all that stuff compiled, this has all been your homework that you got to put together and put all this together. Now you got your package together. Sorry. And now's the time to start your negotiations, right? And how do you start that? What do you say? What do you say, Lisa, when you want to
What
start negotiations with an employee?
Oh, you just have to be very clear and confident in the delivery of the salary you're offering and say, this is, what we have for you. And we're hoping that you really are appreciative of the package that we're offering, because I feel like there's a lot of great, aspects of it that could, you know, instill some growth and some excitement for you in this job. I would paint the picture that there's ability to advance and receive bonuses or whatever the structure is that you're offering, and you know, make it so that they see that the future, like this isn't just a job they're going to work at for a couple of weeks or a month or something, but this is a future that they're committing to. So you want to, let them know that, you're willing to increase the salary over a period of time. Maybe you offer them a tiered structure, after the probationary period, then they get to the higher level. Just something that keeps them motivated, engaged, and incentivized.
So like a career path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have a established career path in place. For instance, maybe once we hire you in 6 months, you're up for your first review and promotion, maybe if or salary bump based off of your skills. I base everything off of skills and the work you've done. I don't, you could be here for 4 months or 4 years. To me, that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. What matters is your productivity and your skill sets and the growth of those, right? Those are the things that really matter to me.
Right.
So yeah, for starting of the negotiations, it's pretty simple, right? Okay, you guys all talked about the position, how you fit into it, how they fit into it. You guys agree, let's move forward. Okay, great. The next thing we're moving forward is salary negotiations. And that's where I spit out. We use salary.com. Here's the scale for this, and I email it to them. And
Yeah.
then this is our starting point.
And maybe offer them a signing bonus so that they have a specified period of time to respond. If they were to sign with you by this date, then you'll give them this bonus, something
Yeah,
like a little teaser, dangle the carrot a little bit and get them to commit to the job, because you don't want to lose them. You want to keep that talent if you really feel like they're going to do well for you or your company. So I
yeah,
would consider
exactly.
offering a signing bonus for them.
Now,
I know a lot of
do
my people that I come in contact with have these wonderful, just really outrageous signing bonuses. And so how could they say no, right?
I've had a couple really good. I've had a 25,000 and a $50,000 signing bonus
It's
uh,
amazing.
in the past. You know,
Hmm.
recently, yeah, nada. But as we are the owner of InvestQuire, I guess I can't pay myself a signing bonus, or you, right?
Not yet.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Expect the negotiation, right? And a
Right.
counter offer.
I mean, if they
So
don't, that's great, right? If they
it
don't do
is,
a counter
but it
offer,
but it tells me a couple things too, right?
right, they're
It it,
desperate.
it well, not necessarily that they're desperate, but they don't have the skills for negotiation, or number two, they just don't care. And then that is another thing all in itself. Well, why am I hiring this guy if they just really don't care?
That's not always the case, but yeah, I guess that could happen.
No, it's not always the case. But here's the thing. Know this. Everybody, whoever throws out the salary number first is the loser, right?
Oh yeah,
So that's why I really like using salary.com, because there's no winners, there's no losers. This is it. It's black and white. It's coming from a third party source. And it's fair. So that way I don't have to sit there and be the first person to throw, yeah, we have a salary range, sure. And that's based off the salary.com. But where you fit on that scale, we're going to negotiate that, and we're going to put in, the different things that are there for us to use to determine a more clear, concise um, salary. Let me, here's something I was just checking the other day, and the CEO salary for a CEO in Newport Beach is about $997,000 per year on average. It's
why
as
not?
low at, what's that?
Why not just pay them 1 million?
Well, so that's the average. The low end is about
Yeah,
600,000, and the high end is about 1.3.
right. Wow.
But then you put in the factors like their education, their skill set, how many direct reports that they're reporting to them, all that stuff kind of goes into it, and then it builds it up or down, depending on what that might be.
Mm-hmm.
So
So how
anyways,
long do
expect a
negotiations,
counteroffer.
yeah, and how long do these negotiations last? I mean, going back and forth, how many rounds, how many weeks do you give it?
It depends, right? The position is, it depends really on the position, right? If you're hiring for the receptionist in your company, it's probably going to be a day. If you're
Mm-hmm.
hiring for an executive or a C-level person in your company, it could be a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I've mentioned in the past when I've hired vice presidents, actually directors and vice presidents and above, they could go through 7 different interviews. And I actually take them and their spouse out to dinner to get them out of the work environment and see how they interact as a person instead of, a candidate. Because everyone's got their best foot forward, right?
Right.
So try to circumvent that and kind of get a better feel. But time, it kind of just it depends. But you need to allow, when you've negotiated, you've gotten to that point, you said, okay, here's a salary and stuff like that. You got to give them some time to go back, think about it, look at their options, perhaps talk to their spouse or loved one, and decide whether it's the right decision for them. Perhaps there's also a relocation involved. And so they also have to think about that too, right? Your spouse might have a job that they have to quit or be transferred, whatever the case might be. So those are all factors that kind of just tie into it. You don't really know what that's going to look like. But in general, you know, there's no one number that you can say a week or a day.
Mm-hmm.
What's your experience been?
Well, some employers may also think, I'd really not want to lose this employee. They could be interviewing at other places, so then they may come back with a higher offer, right? That's
They
happened a
may.
time.
That
Mm-hmm.
has happened a few times here and there.
A
So,
lot of relocation packages that are offered to the employee as well, like offering their moving expenses to be covered, the sale of their home expenses, paying the realtor commissions and so forth. So there's a lot of global relocation companies that help these big employers, corporations get their employees that they need, maybe like you said earlier, from other states to get them to relocate, uproot their family, have their wife, relocate with their husbands and so forth. So there's a lot of things that go into it in the decision-making process. And I think all of those little pieces are, what could entice an employee to say yes and to accept the offer.
yeah, agreed. I absolutely agree. So, kind of just to recap this, right? Um, I love this process, right? This is a good process because you're bringing somebody on board to the company and you just now got to figure out what that compensation is going to look like, what that package is going to look like, and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
to me, this is the fun side of it. You've gotten past the interview process and all that stuff. Now we get to be friends, if you will, right? Co-workers.
Hopefully, right?
So, yeah, hopefully that you can figure that piece out. Um, so feel free to reach out to Lisa or myself, ask us, anything regarding this if you're interested or you're not sure. We're more than happy to help. At InvestQuire, you know, we and I have hired and been the hiring guy and also the hatchet guy for companies. They bring me in and I do all the interviewing process and provide all the reports and all this stuff and help them hire. There are HR companies out there that do that and they do it well. We can help you do the same as well. So, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, have a great week, you guys, and we look forward to speaking to you next time.
Yes, don't forget, you can reach us at investquire.com and also at the our Facebook group, The Biz Show.
Show. Have a great
Yes,
week. Thank you for
yes.
listening.
Bye, guys.